good morning. My name is Carlos Sanchez. I work in the Nanosensors and Intelligent System Group at the Institute for Physical and Information Technologies. In the presentation, I will talk about low-cost resistive sensors for different applications. The presentation consists of a brief introduction, the experimental section with the results and discussions, and finally, the conclusions. The use of nanomaterial is a good strategy to improve gas sensors. They help increase sensitivity, selectivity, and stability. Normally, sensors need heat, which increase energy use and lower stability. With UV light, they can operate at room temperature with less power. These sensors can be used in different applications. First, environmental monitoring to detect gases such as nitrogen dioxide or carbon monoxide, which are harmful to health and the environment. In recent years, their emissions have grown a lot, and this increase makes the problem worse because these gases can irritate the lungs and produce different diseases such as bronchitis or pneumonia. This technology can contribute to creating air quality maps to control pollution in cities. Second, food application to identify defects in food, such as oxidized oil compared to fresh oil, or the level of burning in tomato due to errors in the production process. We use these home-made substrates with IDT electrodes, which includes an array of 4 sensors. This material is common in printed circuit boards. In this presentation, we saw sensors made with tin dioxide and thin oxide nanoparticles. To make this sensor, we used 2 techniques, drop casting and electrospray. The solution was the same in both cases, except for the solvent, water for drop casting and ethanol for electrospray. Drop casting is a simplest and cheapest method. We use a homemade automatic device called drop caster that controls droplet size, deposition time, and the operation. The sensing layers were prepared using nanoparticles dispersed in water at 2.5 micrograms per milliliters. In this table, you can see the parameters used for the deposition. The other technique we use for nanoparticle deposition is electrospray. In electrospray, an electric potential is applied between the needle and the sensor, creating a fine spray. For this process, we work with spin box equipment. Here you can see the different parameters used for the electrospray depositions. The process takes 30 minutes. We test the sensors in a controlled atmosphere using the setup shown in the figure. The sensors are placed in a small cell with gas inlet and outlet, and UV light above them for uniform light and low power. Sorry. We use reference gases such as air, carbon monoxide, or nitrogen dioxide, and control the concentration with a gas mixing unit and mass flow controllers. A humidity generator allows us to modify the humidity, and sensors in the press chamber monitor temperature and humidity in the mix. Sensor response is measured as resistance change with an electrometer, and all processes are controlled by a computer using LabVIEW software. On another hand, the characterized solid and liquid samples, we use an electronic nose that we developed called Y07. This device includes an array of commercial and homemade sensors. It includes a touch screen, a battery, a micro pump, an electrovalve, humidity and temperature sensors, serial and Wi-Fi communication. Once the sensors are fabricated, we characterize the sensitive layer using the scanning electron microscopy. We present these images of thin oxide sensor as a sample for each fabrication technique. For drop casting, the layer is more heterogeneous with large aggregates and areas with materials. The roughness is high around 350 nanometers, and the thickness is about 1.5 micrometers. For electrospray, the layer is more uniform than drop casting, but still show some aggregates. The roughness is smaller, around 90 nanometers, and the thickness is lower, about 1 micrometers. Before talking about the results, it is worth making some comments about the measurement protocols and the sensor response used in this work. Detections were performed at room temperature at 50% relative humidity with a constant gas flow of 100 milliliters per minute. The exposure time was 15 minutes, while the recovery time was 30 minutes. Use UV light with 300 to 400 nanometers wavelength. The sensor response is defined by the relative resistance change as shown by the formulas on the slide. One formula for reducing gases and another for oxidizing gases. And finally, the gases test and their detection range were from 0.1 to 1 ppm and carbon monoxide from 1 to 10 ppm. All sensors made by drop casting and electrospray respond to nitrogen dioxide, but the different sensitivity levels. At low concentrations, tin dioxide sensor perform better than thin oxide sensors. For example, the tin dioxide sensor made by electrospray show about 15% response at 100 ppb. Drop casting sensor had a largest variation between 100 to 300 ppb. But the response stayed almost constant from that. Electrospray sensors show good response at low concentration, but less variation across the range. For carbon monoxide detection, tin dioxide sensor showed a much stronger response than thin oxide sensor, which have very low or no detection capability. At room temperature, or tin dioxide sensor detect carbon monoxide at low concentrations. The best performance was achieved by the electrospray sensor with a maximum response of 18% at 5 ppm. Tin oxide sensor had weak responses. The drop casting tin oxide sensor did not respond, while the electrospray sensor detected carbon monoxide, but with a very low response. For the oil measurements, we used the electronic nose with the sensor developed earlier. This PCA was calculated using the responses from all sensors, both commercial and homemade sensors, for every sample. it could be seen that the PCA separate the two oil samples with defect and without defect. On another hand, as I said in the introduction, another application we work on is detecting the level of burning in tomato samples. When there is an error in the production processes of tomato concentrate, part of it can get burned. In the PCA samples, T0 is the highest defect and T4 is the sample with no defect. We can see that the electronic nose can separate samples T0 from the others, and there is a clear trend to the right where the defects gradually increase. In conclusion, all sensors detect nitrogen dioxide and carbon monoxide at room temperature. Dropcasting is simple and low-cost technique. It works well for quick test, but it is less reproducible. Electrospray gives better control and more uniform layers. It's good for carbon monoxide detection, but it is more expensive. UV light activation works well for the operation at room temperature. And finally, the sensors are versatile. They can be used in different applications. They detect pollutant gases at low concentration, and on another hand, they can also separate samples with and without defects in food applications. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will see the question on the chat.
Thank you, Carlos, for your contribution. Let me check if there are some questions in the chat. No. I don't see any question. You are perfectly on time, so we have some additional time for the discussion. I don't know if someone has some curiosity.
Yes, Carlos, could you tell us your limit of detection for CO, for example, to see if we can apply easily for common life?
The limit of detection, for example, for nitrogen dioxide is around 50 ppb, the lower limit of detection. The carbon monoxide is that the limit that would be it's possible to see in the presentation, and for another samples it's difficult to quantify the concentration of, for example, in the oil or tomato samples.
Yes, okay. And did you test the drift over time?
Yeah. The sensor sensors have a drift to the different measure, but we correct that drift with a software before to calculate the response.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Okay, just a curiosity, if you can imagine other possible applications of these sensors besides the food sample that you discussed in your presentation.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
If you can imagine other possible applications of these sensors.
That sensor is possible to use in different applications. For example, in the past, we work in another project like a to detect defects in the wine or in the beer. And it's possible to use, for example, in detect different different defects in other foods. I don't know, in meat, for example, could be another application, or different drinks. I don't know. It's I think it's that sensor have a lot of possibilities.
Okay, I also noticed a question from the chat by the organization team, I guess. Do you think that this can be applied to environmental odors?
Yeah, of course. It's possible to use that sensor, for example, to detect another environmental gases such as ozone or carbon dioxide, for example. And in another works, that kind of sensors are capable to detect a different concentration of these gases.